And then we shall also look at the market. The market we are talking about dairy in general. For example, these days we had a challenge of the foot and mouth disease in this region, whereby they had stopped the milk sellers from transporting milk. So if someone wants a loan for dairy, and then the market is saying that you are not allowed to transport your milk, then it means that person is not going to pay the loan because he has no sources of income. So that is the first model, the first pillar, the business, but I'll explain it more as we go ahead. Then we have the financial analysis as the second pillar. And this financial analysis looks at the historical analysis. In the historical, we are looking at the balance sheet. The balance sheet is showing the assets, the liabilities, and it helps us to get the net worth of the client. And the net worth will help us to know if this client is able to pay the installment amount. Then in the projections, the forecasts, we are looking at the future projections, the future cash flows. Then the final pillar is the position of the Sacco. As able, we have our position when we are giving clients our money or their money, the members' money. There is a position we have as an institution. If we are to give you a loan, there are certain conditions that we want as an institution. We don't just give out loans. Then we calculate ratios for every individual client. This model works majorly for the individual lending. We also have the group lending, but this one majorly is for the individual lending. Because for the group lending, we only give up to 3 million. So there's also another model we use, but majorly this one is for the individual lending. Then finally, we have the conclusion and the recommendations as able, like I'll show you. So this is the business analysis of the agriculture value chain for micro business. The micro business, we are looking at the client or the company itself before we go to the big market. So here, we are looking at the structure of the business. If we go there to visit the client, of course, we also follow the same model like BMAS, whereby we visit the client. For us, we don't have yet a loan application on phone. We do physical visits for now. So we shall visit the customer and see the structure he has, the strategy, the shared values. If he has some staff or some workers, do they have the same values as staff? Then the systems they are using. Maybe there are some improved farmers who have cameras on their farms. There are some people who take records. If, for example, I'm a dairy farmer, I want to know if you are a farmer in dairy, are you taking records for your milk sales every day? That is the systems I'm talking about. Do you have records for your business, or you just sell milk and you don't know the records? Then we are looking at the skills. Are the staff that you are using skilled? Because we realize that for every business you do, you should have skills for that business, because you cannot do what you don't know. Then we are looking at the staff and the style. Then also we have the macro business. This one looks at the overall business. And here we use the Porter's 5 forces, Michael Porter's 5 forces. As you can see them there, we look at the threats of potential new entrants in that business that the customer is doing. We look at the suppliers' bargaining power. We look at the industry competitors. Who are the competitors for that business? We look at the buyers' bargaining power. Then we look at the threats of the substitutes. Then we have the SWOT analysis. One thing about this model, as I'm explaining it, we incorporated it in our loan application form, and every relationship officer at Abaho was trained about this model form. We have this kind of model. Every loan application form for individual, whether you want 1 million, whether you want 2 million, whether you want 350 million, we use this model. So we look at the SWOT. The SWOT, we are looking at the strength of the business or the client. For example, this one I just came up with it. We are looking at the quality of management, like how Karen was talking to us yesterday, that if you visit a farm, you need to see the manager of the farm. If he's good, if he's not good, then you cannot risk giving the money. Then we look at the quality of the soil. The soil, for example, if you are into banana farming, are you using fertilizers or the soil is not good? Then we look at the liquidity position of the client. So, and we are saying that these are internal, the strengths are internal, and we are telling the client to carefully guard the strength. Then the weakness, we are looking at lack of knowledge on markets, lack of use of fertilizers, poor quality of products, lack of enough water supply. I was talking to one of my people in the village, and they are saying they are facing challenges with the dry season. You know, here in Uganda, when we rely so much on natural rain, that's what I was talking with my friend Isosa the other time from Kampala. I told him you can have 12 cows in Uganda, but you only have maybe 20 liters of milk, or even less when you have 12 cows. And for him, he was telling me in Ethiopia, if you have one cow, you can actually milk 50 liters or 40. And I told him it's not possible in Uganda because some of the farmers are using rudimentary methods. You saw the animals grazing on the roadside. They are looking for what to eat. How will they be able to give you that milk in those quantities? So the farmers are still using those traditional methods, but we hope they can improve. So we are saying let's try to solve these internal problems. Then on the opportunities, we are looking, the price of the banana is 2,000 or 3,000. So they are 5 million. You can take that in 1 year. If for example, we cannot give a client a loan of 60% debt finance. You should also have some money as a customer. Don't come to Abaho and take a loan of 1 million, invest it in the business. All the money that you have in the business is strictly Abaho money. If Karen has a party for the daughter, she has an introduction, you want to contribute 50,000 to Karen, you touch on the money from Abaho, you contribute. So this is an example of the direct cash flow. Here we are looking at the total receipts, the cash in, 30,000 at the start of December, if I'm analyzing maybe for those months. So this person has expenses. He has bought raw materials, maybe for coffee. He bought seeds at 1,800 that are not mentioned there. He has some loan, he's going to pay interest. So at the end of it all, that is the total expense, 9,100. So this 9,100, we shall deduct it from the total receipts that we had at start, the cash. So the net cash is 20,900, and down there it is the cash cumulative. So in January again, that is the money he has made in January. The raw materials are that, the total labor costs, then the total expenses. So we calculate the expenses, we deduct them from the cash receipts, and he has a negative. So this negative will affect the cash cumulative by that deficit of 1,200. And it all on application form, and our officers usually capture that information. Then we are looking at the balance sheet. For every customer, we have to do a balance sheet for all customers, whether you want 1 million, whichever amount you want. So we are saying that the balance sheet is a snapshot of the financial position at a single point. And the asset side is related to the investment plan, while the liability side is related to the financing plan. So, and we say that assets minus liabilities will equal to the net worth. So that net worth is the one I told you that will help us to know how much is the customer able to pay at the end of the month, the installment. So this one. Then the position of the Sacco. This is the final pillar, because I said there are 3 pillars. Number 1 was the business analysis. Number 2 is the financial analysis, where we have the historical and the projections, the future cash flows. And then number 3 is the position of the Sacco. So as Abaho, we have what we work on. Usually we consider the 5 C's. There are other C's, but majorly we consider the 5 C's of credit. The first C is the character of the person, of the client who is taking our loan. And usually my boss, Robert, usually says character is not smiling for people. You go greeting Julian, you greet Susan, you greet... No, that is not character. The character is CRB report. We run CRB report. We have different service providers, New Grid and others. We check if you are paying very well your loans. For all customers, we have to check the CRB report. Then we have evaluation of credit worthiness, the credit history. For the loans you've borrowed, are you paying well? We ask the chairman, the neighbors, we do due diligence. That is what the ED usually says, do due diligence. So here, there's a scenario where you go to visit a customer for loan assessment. Maybe you've gone to visit, I'll use an example of how the wife taps on your leg like this. Eh? She taps on your leg. But Wilson, of course, is not seeing because you are seated and the wife is seated and the husband is seated. So when the wife taps you, you just know that is a red flag. If you give out the loan, most likely Wilson maybe wants to spend it to marry another woman like Manny Joseph or something like that. So usually we have to do that due diligence. There are signals. For example, usually the wife has to sign on the form as a guarantor. But you find these people are also sharp. He knows how the wife signs, so he signs for her. When you come to visit, maybe he says, the wife, he can say, you go and buy for us soda in the thingy, in the center. So that by the time the wife comes back, then you have already assessed and the wife doesn't know. But we have to ask those partners, the spouses, did you sign here? Then the wife says, yes, I signed. Then you are like, how much did you sign for? You see the wife is not aware of how much she signed for, then you know there's a problem. There's a time I went to assess a client, and the wife said, this man, I wanted to go home, he didn't give me money, so I'm not signing for him. So those issues. Then we have the capacity. The capacity talks about the borrower's ability to service the loan. Here we consider the incomes versus the expenditures. So we look at how much this client is generating per month and then the expenses he's spending. Then we look at the capital, borrower's overall financial strength, the current and fixed assets. I think that one is of the balance sheet. And we are saying that current assets can easily be turned into cash. If you visit a customer, you first look at if this man doesn't pay my loan, does he have a goat that I can easily sell and recover my money? Does he have a motorcycle that I can easily sell and get my money? Such things, that's what we are looking at. But there's a time you visit a business client, he's telling you he's selling sodas, but all the soda bottles are empty, there's nothing there, and then he wants money. We cannot give such a client. Then we are looking at the collateral. The collateral is the asset pledged as security. We are looking at, is it mortgaged? Is it a chattel with a caveat? Is it land? Does it have a title? Sometimes even we have land title loans. If we want a loan, but you don't have a land title, as able we can do a land title for you because we don't want to lose the business. We don't want to lose money. If you want a loan of maybe above 20 million, and we are saying that you must have a land title, if the client says, I don't have a title, yesterday I was in town and I had a friend of mine who wants 100 million, but she says, I don't have a title, but I have land worth 300 million. I was like, don't mind, just come to Able. We shall give you money as we process your title. And she was like, oh, then I'm coming on Monday. So we do that. Then we see if the land has any encumbrances. We see the access, does it have an access road? And also we paying their loan. All this is in our loan form. Then the recommendations, the relationship officer, after assessing the client, will make recommendation to the branch loan committee. We have committees at branch level. That's the first step, usually for loans below 5 million, whatever, or even above. But we make a recommendation to the branch loan committee, which makes a final decision. I don't make a decision as Allan. I sit with my colleagues. I say, I've visited Susan. She wanted a loan. Then other colleagues can say yes. They check what I did. Then we have different loan committees, depending on the loan amount supplied. Some of the forms go up to head office, some go to board level. Then a decision is made either to approve or reject the loan application. It's not a must that if you apply for a loan, you will get it. We can reject or we give you. Thank you so much for listening. I welcome comments. Okay. Yeah, we'll start with the Hugo. Is it Johan? Sorry, Johan. Yeah.
Are the loan officers of the registered managers, are they trained in interviewing the clients?
Yeah, thank you so.
Get all this information?
Thank you so much. Like I said, this training was conducted to trainers of trainees. The branch managers were all trained. Herbert was there, even Jared was still in Ebo, he was also trained about the 3-pillar model and others. So when they trained us, we trained the rest of the teams. All of them, even if you ask the loan officer in the local.
Sunday evening and Monday session where he learns.
Maybe Robert has.
If you look at 5-6, for example, entirely they bring out something that is not financial data. You look at the character, you are looking at the behavior, how you live, the society kind of the thinking of the society is actually getting below the character.
Family
Because
background.
that is where I cover in the society. Even the conditions are also being done. So under the 5-6, I think the country norms and all that safety is somehow covered.
Yeah.
Maybe just an example. Like you used an example there, you say a man is very better before. He has
Hide yourself and run away. And she was paying very well actually right in her 10th cycle. She's paying very well. She takes huge sums of money, but also there is also a signal somehow. An example he used to give when we were together in marketing. He would say there's a chairman, LC1, who wanted to win behind the other man, behind the other man, including the wife of this man. So when the man looked behind, there was no one. And when they went back home, he asked the wife, "Why didn't you vote for me?" Then the wife was like, "You see, those people that don't know you, about me who sleeps